Ah, good evening. Good evening. What a whopper. We'll wait for a couple of people to get in here and the uh, start the video off proper. Um, couldn't wait. I thought I could do it every other day, but I had to do it every other night. Um, and that is the latest revelations from a military commission court document that was put together by Donald C. Canestraro, a former 23-year Drug Enforcement Agency officer who served on the Office of Military Commissions for 5 years. Back in uh, this document is 21 pages, 22 pages actually, and it was filed in 2021 at the Guantanamo Bay Naval Base in Cuba, where we have yet to have a trial for the accused five for their planning and operational support for the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. And it's Khalid, Sheikh Mohammed, Ramzi bin al-Shib, Amr al-Baluchi, Ramzi, Amr al-Baluchi, Mustafa al-Hawsawi, and Tawfiq bin Atash, also known as Khalid. I'm a little bit burnt because I just did a hour-long video, a part three on the three-part series regarding the revelations in the document. So bear with me. I'm still trying to rewind, but I had to do a live video because I want to bring up to speed everybody what was has been revealed instead of just going through the three parts, which is over 3 hours long. So I'll try and summarize everything I can tonight in quick fashion. And hey, good evening, Ecom, Mike. Wow, what? And I'm not one for exaggeration, but this is probably the most revealing, most apocalyptic document I've ever read regarding the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. The information revealed in this document is none other than mind blowing, and I sound like a broken record because I can't believe what I read in the last 3 days. Um, and some parts I suspected, but now it's for sure that not only was there an operation done by the CIA, but it was in conjunction with Saudi intelligence, and it was authorized by none other than the head directors of both agencies, and that would be George Tenet, the CIA, and Prince Turki Al Faisal, and the head of the Saudi General Intelligence Directorate, the intelligence services of Saudi Arabia, and just what's astonishing to me is that this actually is a black eye for the CIA, and for those in the old media who are always criticizing the CIA, and rightfully so, not a peep so far. It is incredible revelations, and it all comes at the behest of numerous ex FBI, ex CIA, and congressional officials who spoke on the promise of anonymity um, that this document, if it is ever brought to trial or grand jury, hopefully that these people will testify about what they saw, what they experienced regarding the CIA at the Bin Laden issue station, codename Alex Station, and with the analysts that were working in it. And I am, the most, the best, I think the best podcast that revealed new information for me was Ray Nowosilski and John Duffy. And it was in 2011. It was called Who is Rich Blee? And I had no idea. I knew about Alex Station stuff, but I didn't know who ran it. Well, these two guys basically created this podcast where they named names, and three names in particular that came out later. One in particular was known, and that was Richard Blee. Later on, Alfred Ambikowski and Michelle and Casey. And for those two guys to basically put their freaking reputations on the line and really come under fire from the one agency you don't want attention from, the CIA, they got the attention from the director of operations, the director of Central Intelligence, and also from the director of the Counterterrorism Center. They all wrote letters to both of these guys. Don't you dare do it. And they did it anyway. That's real journalism because that takes guts. I wouldn't know if I could do that, but wow. However, needless to say, this document that has been released now is even more mind blowing and bombshell effect because it names the agency Alex Station and Counterterrorism Center as being complicit with Saudi intelligence working hand to hand in regards to two known Al Qaeda operatives who were involved with an associate and the mastermind of the USS Cole bombing in Taufik bin Attash, which the FBI was investigating, and the CIA interfered with that investigation as well. And this is just incredible. And let's get right to it. So, um, first of all, I want to give a big thank you to Dan Christensen of Florida Bulldog. Dan Christian has been nothing short of one of the best journalists, independent journalists, and Florida Bulldog has been one of the best venues, one of the best publications on record in this country. That's not. I'm not generalizing. That's a specific fact, in my opinion. The one of the best journalists in this country regarding the events of September 11, 2001. The other is Der Spiegel. That's a German publication. But in the United States, Florida Bulldog for years has been doing groundbreaking stuff, filing freedom of information requests, getting new information out there. So, Dan Christensen, big ups to you because you broke this story. And basically, very few people did. Today, I found out that Spy Talk actually did the story. And the name of that guy, I set Hetina, forgive me if you're ever watching this for butchering your name. A great article. I will link it at the bottom of the description, as well as the Florida Bulldog article and the document as well. So, where did all this information come from? Like I said, it came from ex FBI, current FBI officials, ex CIA, and congressional officials from the 9/11 Commission and the Joint House Inquiry. All of these people were basically putting their reputation online. That's why they had to speak on conditions of anonymity because it's not in a court and they could be sued, liable. The CIA ain't going to sue them because what they revealed is actually going to go against them. So hopefully, a trial takes place in Cuba and this information goes public. I'm willing to say that before this really, takes off, which I'm hoping for by the legacy media. It's a pipe dream, but I'm hoping that this information gets out there and Canestraro's information goes to the lawyers, and I think it is already. Uh, they're going to be chomping at the bit. Hey, let's go to trial. So the Biden administration is going to basically broker a deal, and I'm pretty sure the Biden administration knows about this document, and they have to. The CIA knows, so their brush is listen. We don't want no more black marks because this is one big black guy in the CIA. Let's make a deal with the defendant's lawyers and get this squared away. Okay. So when I read the first 7 pages, I knew I didn't have evidence, but I knew there was an operation involving Saudi intelligence and the CIA. What I didn't know that was revealed in those first 7 pages was that the CIA and the Saudis were working together, which means that by law, the CIA is not allowed to conduct operations inside the United States. This would make it an illegal operation. Not only that, you had a foreign intelligence service acting in conjunction with a domestic intelligence service without any authorization from the State Department, the Department of State, without them knowing about it. Nobody knew about it except for the CIA and Saudis. Now, leaving the Israelis aside, because Israel is not named in this document, I happen to think the reason why is because Israel, if I'm right, this is speculation, was acting on their own outside of the CIA and the Saudis. If they were working in conjunction with the CIA and the Saudis, boy, are those agencies really going out on a limb and protecting the Israelis. And I don't know if that's the case. It seems that the Israelis are working on independently. Now, how the hell did they know about the Hamburg cell? How do they know about Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi? I don't know. Did the NSA tell them? Did the CIA covertly tell them and said, "Hey, could you work with us?" Maybe they worked on their own and told them, "Hey, listen, we'll pass along information, but you're going to work together with you too." I don't know. These are all scenarios that could basically happen, or who knows? I think basically they were working on their own. Nevertheless, um, this information comes from FBI officials who were working with the CIA at the Bin Laden issue station, and they were looking at information that's not public. Okay, so they can't basically use their name because the information is CIA information. Now, there's a legal wall that separates the CIA and the FBI from sharing information together and sharing with the other agencies. It's true. If information is procured by the CIA and they basically, the FBI is working with them in the Bin Laden issue station, the FBI has to get authorization from the CIA to share this information. Now, what makes this really almost criminal is that when the CIA was tracking Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi because the NSA heard about a phone call in Malaysia that the NSA were tapping for years. They heard about this meeting in Malaysia of high-level Al Qaeda attendees there. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, Tawfiq bin Atash, later on Fahad Al Kuso, Zacharias Musawi, Khalid Al Midar, Nawaf Al Hazmi, his brother Salim Al Hazmi. You had Ridwan Isamuddin, who goes by the Nam Dagor Hambali, who's a bomb maker and the second in command of Jeddah Islamia, which is a Al Qaeda affiliate in Indonesia, responsible for bombing of churches and other places. Big names. I'm leaving out a lot of people too. So basically, they were all together. And what the CIA did was they told the Malaysian authorities to take pictures of the people attending it. Now it's in a condo, and this is owned by Yazid Sufat, who's a businessman in Indonesia, and he has direct links with Jemaah Islamiyah. So Malaysian authorities taking pictures, and it's alleged, don't quote me, it's alleged that video was taken. This is coming from Paul Thompson in the Terror Timeline. And basically, you can't, it's unfortunate we don't have history comms no more, and that's a crime. But they talk about this too. But leave that to the side. Malaysian authorities take pictures. They send the pictures of people like Taufik bin Atash, who's known as Khalid al Midar, and Nawaf al all to the CIA at the Bin Laden issue station, codename Alex Station, and to the Counterterrorism Center. But what they found out was the CIA also had the passports of Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi with U.S. visas, dual U.S. visas, to enter and leave out of the country. So basically, it came in as a cable. One of the FBI agents working at the Bin Laden issue station named Doug Miller saw this cable. And in response, he drafted a cable warning, say, hey, listen, we have two no Al Qaeda subjects. They're known as Al Qaeda. The FBI is investigating the USS Cole bombing, right? Later on, they want to know who's involved, stuff like that. And so they basically draft this report with the picture of the passport saying, we need, as soon as they get off the plane and enter Los Angeles International, because after they leave the meeting, they go to Bangkok, and Taufik bin Atash is with them, and he's the alleged mastermind of the USS Cole. And then they get a connecting flight to Los Angeles International, but Khalid doesn't go with them. He stays in Bangkok because he's dropping off money to whoever. So Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi come to the United States. By law, it's now under the jurisdiction of the FBI. Bear with me here. I'm showing you a connection. The CIA knows this, all right? But what was new to me was that 2 days ago, the reason why they didn't share this information was that not only did they didn't want the FBI to know they were coming to the country and therefore have them arrested. What's even worse than that is that here you have the FBI not acknowledging the fact that the CIA was working in conjunction with Saudi intelligence in the hopes that Saudi intelligence operatives like Omar al-Bayoumi And Fahad al-Damari, who's an imam, the lead imam at the King Fahd Mosque in Los Angeles, they were hoping that they would act as intermediaries and receive intelligence from Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi, which would be shared with the CIA under full approval from Director Tenet. So not only did they tell the FBI regarding these two men inside the United States so that they wouldn't interfere with the operation, no, now they're interfering in a criminal investigation because these two men were seen with the master of the Cole bombing. So, three things here. They didn't tell the FBI because they didn't want them meddling in their affairs. They didn't tell the FBI that these two men were seen with the master of the Cole bombing, which is a crime investigated by the Department of Justice. Three, unbeknownst to anyone, the White House, the National Security Council, the FBI, local local authorities, that the CIA was working inside the United States with the Saudi General Intelligence Directorate in monitoring and giving logistical support to two known Al Qaeda operatives. It gets better than that. So now we have on record after 9/11, one of the analysts at CIA Bin Laden Issue Station, who is the manager of the operation of the Yemen hub, which is the Al Qaeda communications hub. Her name is Michelle Ann Casey. And what was I always suspected, but what I didn't know, now it's on record that she basically was the one who told Mark Rossini and Doug Miller. I knew this, but she was the one who told Mark Rossini and Doug Miller not to send the cable to the FBI headquarters. Now she got that order for Tom Wilshire. Tom Wilshire is the deputy director of Alex Station. But after 9/11, 9/11 Commission find out that she's an analyst, not a case officer, an analyst. A case officer and analyst are different. A case officer is somebody who's on the ground doing operations. An analyst is someone who gathers intelligence from case officers. Usually, the case officer is the one who is in charge of operations, not at Alex Station. At Alex Station, it was the analysts. So Michelle Ann Casey's an analyst. She's never been on the ground. She's never been outside Virginia or Washington, D.C., right? The 9/11 Commission wants to interview her because they've interviewed Mark Rossini. Mark Rossini told them, I was told not to share the information regarding Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. What? Who told you that? Michelle Ann Casey. He had to do this in closed door session because the information he's giving is considered, uh, sensitive information regarding national security. It's not public. Came out later, but wasn't public at the time. 9/11 Commission says, all right, we want to interview her. Oh, hold the fort. Michelle Ann Casey's not in the United States. And neither is the chief of station of Alex Station, Richard Blee. Why? They're in Afghanistan. They're now the new managers of an operation there called Jawbreaker, which was a capture or kill operation of Osama bin Laden in Afghanistan and Al Qaeda. They were replacing a guy named Gary Bernstein, who was leading that charge and was having great effect. In fact, he destroyed three-quarters of Al Qaeda and destroyed much of the Taliban and had bin Laden surrounded. All of a sudden, he's replaced. He's replaced by none other than Richard Blee. And Richard Blee brought who? Michelle Ann Casey. Now the 9/11 Commission can't interview them. And the 9/11 Commission doesn't know who gave the order. But the Joint House Inquiry did at least interview Tom Wilshire, deputy director, and he lied. So now it's and gave who gave that approval, which I didn't know until I read it yesterday, which was part 2. This order was authorized by none other than the director of the CIA, George Tenet, and the Directorate of Operations, James Pavitt. James Pavitt is on record saying this is a really good idea sending them out of the country, which means by implication that Tenant Pavitt read the cable, and over 50 agents read that cable. We don't know all the names, but now we have it on record, and we could assume that these two knew about this cable and didn't share with the FBI. Why? Tennant lied at the Joint House inquiry. Basically said nobody read that cable because it was an information only cable. And he was asked, should have been read. Of course it should have been read, he said. In hindsight, it should have been read. Do you know who should have read it? That's what Carl Levin asks him. And he says, no, I don't know who that is. I don't know who it is, but I can find out. And later on in Michael Hayden's book, and I forgot the name of the book, he basically says George Tenet goes down to reach into his briefcase and says, I'm not giving her up. Who's he not giving up? Michelle Lane Casey. Why? Because Michelle Lane Casey is ordered to be interviewed by the 9/11 Commission and the Joint House inquiry. I'm not giving her up. By implication, George Tenet is guilty of interfering in an investigation of the USS Cole bombing by not giving information about two known operatives who were involved with it, who were seen with the mastermind, and not only that, running an illegal operation inside the United States. This is it's I'm stuttering because I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe no one's on this. It's depressing as heck to know that this information, which condemns the agency from the top down. Like I said in part 3 of my video today, I just did about an hour ago, I said, we need another Frank Church hearing just on this alone. This is a damning document. It is damning from the top down. It is unbelievable. And more. I'm not done. I'm not even done. Okay. So now the CIA were conducting operations with Saudi intelligence, but for how long? Well, to my surprise today in reading the final 7 pages, Omar al-Bayoumi, who is suspected of a Saudi spy, now we know he works for a part of the government called the Saudi Air Presidency, right? That goes back to the early 90s. And he's actually a ghost employee for a company named Dal Avco, where he was getting, I think, $500 a month. And when Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi entered the United States, it rose to $3,500. Also, at the same time, a woman by the name of Haifa bin Faisal was receiving payments from her husband, Bandar bin Sultan, the former U.S. Saudi ambassador, and also very good friends, dear friend to George H.W. Bush Sr. and George W. Bush Jr., and they had a nickname for him, Bandar Bush, in which he was given it. His wife was making payments to another woman named Mawida Dawijak, who is the wife of Osama Basnan. Osama Basnan is a Saudi militant living in San Diego, known to Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. Later on, in the Operation Encore files that I did about 3 months ago, watch those videos. Basically, according to a confidential witness working for the FBI, basically said that Osama Basnan may have information about the hijackings before they even took place because he was talking with Khalid al-Mihdhar, Nawaf al-Hazmi, and other people like Hani Anjur, who were also in San Diego and later in Arizona. So he's getting information, but he didn't relay to the confidential source everything. He's playing it careful. He knew where they were training at. He knew who was giving them money, and he knew what they were here for. But he wasn't specific with the source. Nevertheless, this money went to Osama Basnan's wife, and then it was going to Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. But they lied too because they said it was for hair transplants and a leg condition, medical condition, and they lied about it. But sources of money are coming from the Saudi government. Omar al-Bayoumi was known to the FBI because there was an FBI informant named Abdussatter Sheikh, whose handler was Stephen O'Brien, who basically was working in San Diego who developed him as a informant that goes back to the early 90s when there was a bombing taking place in Orange County, California. And he was such a good informant that he was giving information because here's a guy who's very influential in the Muslim community, goes to nearest mosques and university. He actually lied to the FBI, basically said that he was a teacher at San Diego State University. Never was. Why did he lie about that? Right? Omar al Bayoumi is known to this guy. Not only that, not only did the FBI know about al Bayoumi, but unknown to me, the CIA knew about him too and had an operational file of Omar al Bayoumi. Wow. Fuck yeah, man. Right? Now that leads more evidence to show that the Saudis and CIA were working together, collecting intelligence on Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi inside the United States. Hani Hanjour too, he was out west too, later on. That the CIA knew the Saudis were paying these men, that they knew that the Saudi government were paying these men, these Saudi operatives. And by the way, in charge of the Saudi operation inside the United States was a person by the name of Muassad al-Jarrah, who's the director of the Saudi Ministry of Religious Affairs in Washington, D.C. That's right, Washington, D.C., right at the heart of it all. He's the one who gave Fahad al-Thameri, who's an imam at the King Fahd Mosque in Los Angeles, who told Omar al-Bayoumi to meet Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi at the Mediterranean Cafe, which is where Omar al-Bayoumi basically said that he was in the cafe and Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi walked in, and that's how they introduced. No, he lied because Omar al-Bayoumi had an associate with him named Qasim bin Dan, who basically was interviewed by the FBI, and basically Qasim bin Dan said Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi were already sitting in the cafe. Now, how did these two guys who don't know anything about the United States, who don't even speak English, know about the Mediterranean Cafe? Came from Fahad al-Thameri because Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi were picked up by a Tunisian cab driver named Khalid Benamarine. Khalid Benamarine was asked by Fahad al-Thameri to go to Los Angeles International and pick up two Saudi brothers. Didn't tell them their names. Later on, how do we know this? The FBI interviewed Khalid Benamarine and showed him 30 pictures, and he picked out two pictures, Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. Later on, he put him back and they shuffled it. And guess who killed that operation? FBI Director Robert Mueller. You'll find out later that he killed a lot of operations regarding Saudi Arabian investigation from the FBI and State Department. Anyway, they go to King Fahd Mosque. The congregants tell them about this restaurant that the Saudis use because they have halal meat. Fahad al-Thameri tells them about the cafe. They go there. And it just so happens Omar al-Bayoumi walks in. And according to the document, Omar al-Bayoumi walks by their table and drops a piece of paper. I didn't know this. Whatever was on that paper, I don't know. But that's how Omar al-Bayoumi got introduced to Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. And from there, just like a good Saudi that Omar al-Bayoumi is, because according to him, when the FBI interviews him, what does Omar al-Bayoumi say? Oh, I like helping all Saudi foreigners into the United States to help them get acquainted. So when the FBI interviews people like Qasim bin Dan and other members at the King Fahd Mosque in Los Angeles, has Omar al-Bayoumi ever done this for anybody else? No. But what does Omar al-Bayoumi do? He sets them up an apartment, pays for the first 2 months' rent, helps Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi get their driver's licenses through an intermediary in San Diego named Anwar al-Awlaki, who also calls the bank in Los Angeles and San Diego about helping them get a bank account. And he got them a bank account. Everything in their name. They've been hiding the fact. Everything in their name. Incredible. The CIA has a case filed, Omar al-Bayoumi. How long? I don't know. But according to the source, it's a couple of years. How the hell do they know about Omar Haboumi, right? We don't know where this started, how they got acquainted. I don't know. It had to come from Saudi intelligence. It only makes sense. Saudis are working with the CIA inside the United States and telling them we have associates that are helping receive these two men, and we're hoping to get intelligence. Now, it's not wrong to speculate. It's a stretch that the CIA and the Saudi intelligence service knew that the 9/11 attacks were going to happen. This is listen, that's if you're going to make a charge, you better be really on the ball. You can't prove it. What we can prove in a court of law is that they were running an illegal operation outside of jurisdiction of the Department of Justice. This should have been an FBI matter. But not only were they interfering with the FBI's investigation into Cole attack, which is a terrorist attack, but also not giving them information about these two men inside the United States. Now, what else was in the document? Well, there was a lot of things that were known to me from reading the Pentagon FBI reports, the Operation Encore files, the Inspector General CIA report, and also from notable experts in the field like Ali Soufan, Paul Thompson, Kevin Fenton, Ray Lewinsky, John Duffy, and these guys went on to write Peter Lance. All these guys went on to write books and have sources with those books and that information. And what we knew then is only it's confirmed now. What we suspected then is confirmed now. I mean, now it's just, a matter of wow, how do we get this attention to the people? Because we got to hold these people responsible. This is a great tragedy of justice, an egregious act by the CIA. I mean, this would get the agency in tremendous trouble. And they went through great lengths to make sure that the inspector general report basically blamed the CIA but didn't hold them accountable. And also that the congressional inquiries basically didn't invest their time in investigating the CIA's involvement with the Saudis. Because what did the FBI do now? Now we have these whistleblowers in the FBI that come out, but their superiors also covered up Saudi intelligence involving Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. What? Yeah, and the document itself shows that the FBI as well, this had to come from Director Mueller or the Assistant Director of the Counterterrorism Center of the FBI, Dale Watson, that the FBI pressured ex-FBI officials and agents not to testify or investigate, or current agents to investigate Saudi complicity regarding logistics and financial support to Al Qaeda subjects inside the United States that were involved with the 9/11 attacks. Who are they working for? The people or their interests? Well, they're working on behalf of the White House because the White House is pressuring the FBI saying, listen, tell them not to investigate this matter because we got to protect our interests. So much for the government working for the people. And this is continuing. So it doesn't matter about party line, Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. Their interests are their interests. So basically, we have a federal government telling the Department of Justice to tell active agents not to actively investigate Saudi operatives and to also pressure the congressional inquiries investigating the attacks not to look deeply into Saudi Arabia. It's a failure from top to bottom here, all revealed in this document. There is a concerted effort not to investigate the Cole bombing, not to investigate the 9/11 attacks, and also to keep quiet about a CIA Saudi covert intelligence operation that was acting illegally, conducting illegal operations inside the United States without any knowledge from the Department of State or Department of Justice. Still that cover up to this day until right now. And how alt media, the hell with the legacy media, how alt media is not all over this is beyond me because all they ever do is complain about corruption malfeasance regarding the intelligence services. Well, hello. Do you need lights above your head? Bells? I don't know what to tell you. The latest revelations in this document should be enough to open up an independent inquiry from either the Senate or the House, or maybe a conjunction of both, in the investigation of the CIA and Saudi intelligence prior to 9/11. At least that much. Because we're not going to get a trial in Cuba. And Donald C. Canestraro, who deserves all the credit in the world for giving us this groundbreaking report, speaking with these people firsthand and revealing information that was never known until the release of this document. The hell with national security matters here. This is criminal, and it starts with the top, the former director of CIA, George Tenet, and also the former director of the Saudi General Intelligence Directorate, Prince Turki bin Faisal. And it goes all the way down to the analysts at the Bin Laden issue station, like Alfreda Ambikowski, Michelle Land Casey, Tom Wilshire, the deputy director, James Pabbott, the director of operations, and God knows who else, the other analysts, maybe like Jen Matthews or something, working at this station, Clark Shannon from the Counterterrorism Center, all these people who withheld information from the FBI. Now, with Clark Shannon, the story, and this is in the document, but it was known to me anyway. Clark Shannon holds a meeting with the FBI in June of 2001. Now, at this first meeting, he brings an FBI agent on loan from the FBI to work at the CIA's Alex station. Yet at CIA station, the virtual station, the Bin Laden issue station had a number of agencies working with it, like the NSA, the FBI, in collecting intelligence about Bin Laden and Al Qaeda. So Margaret Gillespie, who's from Washington, D.C., she goes to work with the CIA, and Alfreda Ambikowski tells her, don't tell the FBI who's in these pictures. The pictures that were taken at the Malaysia summit meeting. She goes with Clark Shannon, and they have a meeting with the FBI. Two people that were at this meeting are Steve Bongard and Dina Corsi. I don't know who else was there. I just know those two. Anyway, she goes there and shows them these pictures. Now they don't know who these people are. This information is new to them. They don't know because they're working the cold case. Steve Bongard's working the cold case, not realizing that Margaret Gillespie, who has no idea who's in these pictures because she's not told, is showing Steve Bongard, Khalid al-Mihdhar, the al-Hazmi, and Taufik bin Atash, the mastermind of coal bombing. If Steve Bongard knew who they were, right away he would open a criminal investigation, not an information investigation, an intelligence investigation. Now, there's two differences here. Intelligence investigation means that the FBI would basically send like an analyst or someone from the Counterterrorism Center to open up a case file and collect information about a subject. A criminal investigation would involve a bigger number of people, more people involved, about taking that information and then arresting or detaining that subject. So Steve Bogart is collecting information, but he wants a criminal investigation. However, when he's shown these pictures, he has no idea who they are. And he's asking Margaret Gillespie, who are they? And she doesn't know. Now, the FBI's leery of her, even though she's an FBI agent. Maybe that was the reason, one of the reasons to do that, to cause distrust. Who do you trust? Who do you believe? What do you know? Right? Now, there's an argument. They leave. Clark Shannon goes alone in July of 2001 and shows him the pictures again, saying again, do you know who these people are? And Steve Bongo's like, who are they? Why is the CIA not telling us who are these people? Why are you asking? And Clark Shannon tells him that's Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. But what he doesn't tell Steve Bongard is that the other picture is Taufik bin Attash. Because if the connection is made, because the FBI knows Taufik bin Attash is the mastermind of the Cole bombing, then by default, not only is this an intelligence investigation, now it's a criminal one. So the FBI can get involved and arrest Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. You get what I'm saying? As long as there's no tie, they can't do nothing about it, the FBI. But what's also kept in this meeting, Clark Shannon doesn't tell them that they had dual US visas or that they were in the country. Clark Shannon tells Steve Bongard the following: I can't tell you this information because I am not authorized to give you that information. Later on, at the Joint House inquiry, Carl Levin interviews Clark Shannon in closed door session, meaning that Clark Shannon, who's an active CIA case officer, is um, not known to the public because he's an active officer, doesn't want to know who they are, and the information he's sharing is of national security, right? But Clark Shannon says something quite revealing. He says to Carl Levin, I got word from George Tenet not to share this information. Carl Levin interviews George Tenet, and this is public. I make it all, it's in my playlist. Where George Tenet says, Carl Levin says, let me read you the staff report of Clark Shannon, right? He goes, a CIA analyst at the CIA's Counterterrorism Center said that he would not share that information outside of the agency as he was not required to do so. That's what he told our staff. Do you disagree with that? And Tennant says, no, I don't disagree with that. Did he tell you something different? Tennant tells him, and Tennant says, yes, he gave me a different perspective. And Tennant says, and Carl says, he told you and he told us something different. And Tennant says, yes, he did. And he goes, all right, what does this mean? Well, Clark Shannon told the truth. Because if Clark Shannon basically said and lied that George Tenet told him this, well, he's fired. Right? I mean, you're blaming me. Fuck you. I'm the director. Get out of here. You're fired. No, he doesn't. Tennant doesn't retract anything Carol Levitt says because Tennant lied under oath at the Joint House inquiry about this meeting and about what he told Clark Shannon, which he doesn't deny. So that would mean that the director of Central Intelligence actually was acting in accordance against the FBI in their investigation of the Cole bombing because he's running an illegal operation inside the United States. This is, come on, come on. I'm preaching to the choir here because most everyone that's in this room knows this stuff already, right? But I mean, my goodness, this is huge. But it's regretful because um, the media is not going to cover it. But if we get enough attention, hopefully it will. I don't know if it will, but if this doesn't, what will, right? What will? A bombing? I don't know what to tell you anymore, right? Um, so much stuff was in this. I mean, for 22 pages, it was a bombshell. Every freaking page, man. I never seen a document like it. I mean, Operation Encore, thousands of pages, but not every single page was a bombshell. This was, and it's quite damning because it's not speculation. It's not coming from a questionable source. It's coming from ex CIA, ex FBI, and congressional officials who have looked at the information, who has looked at cables or electronic communications or emails or commiserate with the people in the cover up or in the illegal operation. You can't get more damning than this. This is it. But did you know a third building fell? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I am at your service. I really am, and I'm a little bit drained only because I couldn't wait to get home from work and to read these files. As I was doing these three-part series, I was learning just like you. I didn't read this document beforehand. I was reading it right off the bat, new to me. Um, just incredible. Um, I'll give it a couple of days before I'm really disappointed if nobody talks about this. More props to Darren Harvey. He did a video about it today. Spy Talk, and of course, the man Dan Christensen. The God man, he broke the breaking report on Florida Bulldog. If you haven't followed Florida Bulldog on Twitter, do so. They're up to date. It's right off the bat. Dan Christian is one of the best in the country. Um, Now, what do we do? I mean, what happens now? Well, it's in now as independent journalists, as independent activists, as independent researchers, it is now our duty to share this information. You don't have to share my video, share the document, or do your own video and share the document, or just do a video, share the document online if you don't like to do a video. But share it far and wide. This is it needs to be told. Everyone needs to see it. Now, in part 3 today, I said, I wish Tim Pool would cover it, but I remember laughing at him saying, "He's not gonna cover this." I need somebody with a big channel. Somebody with a really big channel needs to cover it in the hopes that it gains traction and enough attention that it starts trending, and then all of a sudden, hey, maybe ABC, maybe CNN, maybe Fox, maybe The Empire Files by Abby Martin, somebody, somebody will cover it and give it its most overdue attention and its deserved respect in the highest regards because this is information that cannot be um, just dismissed or ignored. It just can't. It just can't. And I won't allow it. I'll say it every day. I don't care. I'll make a video every day. I don't care. I'll be persistent, like a boil on a man's ass. Nevertheless, please, everybody in this room, share that document far and wide. Make sure that people see it. Be in their face because if you're not in this to try and make a change, well, what are you in it for? If you're in it for as a hobby, all right, no, nothing wrong there. But I want more. I want to hold these people accountable. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a cop. I'm just somebody in my own bedroom, shooting a video. I'm nobody. But what I'm hoping for is this document goes in the right hands, seen by the right people, and it gets the attention of the people, and the people will demand justice from it. Um, if you have any questions, I'll read the comments. I try to keep up here and there, but I got so much to say. Can we discuss nanothermite now, you bastard? Um, yes, Richard Gage did. By the way, Ecom, 2 days ago, Richard Gage just did an interview with these two Christian guys, and for 2 hours, I kid you not, it's on Rumble. 2 hours, nanothermite, World Trade Center 7, 1, 2, and 7. It's all they talked about for 2 hours. How boring is that? Very demoralizing at the same time. That is boring as heck. Um, geez. Yeah. Look, I'll cut it short. You guys, you know, have been here for 49 minutes, long enough. Uh, I will tell you right now, this is the best most revealing document I've ever read. And, I've been at this since 2006. And this is the most revealing document I've ever read. Now, take it to effect that we still don't have the full independent uh, inspector general report of the CIA declassified. We still don't have the evidence used by the prosecution at Guantanamo Bay. What do they have, or what they don't have? What don't they have? So we do know for sure now that the CIA and Saudis were working on a legal operation together, that they were interfering with the Cole attack under investigation by the FBI, and that the FBI after 9/11 was covering up for the Saudis on orders from the White House. Really remarkable, groundbreaking stuff, and so much more in those documents. If you haven't read it, please read it. I'll put it at the bottom of the description. And listen, thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for having an interest. Listen, each and every one of you, I know most of you, uh, you know, you've done excellent work, and you may not get the praise that you're due, but I'm acknowledging you. Ecom, I know you don't like to go in front of a camera, but you do enough, and you do more than most people. Sean, you're doing a podcast now. I'm proud of you. Darren, if you're here somewhere, I'm proud of you too. You guys have really done remarkable, great work over the years as I've known you, and you deserve credit. And to everybody else in this room, you deserve credit too. I know you by other names, but you do share information on your Twitter accounts, and I don't have other viral media. I just have YouTube and Twitter now, but and VK. But I've seen you and I've seen you share information. I thank you. I thank you because each link that you share, each video that you share, each document you share helps because we're informing the public. And it's our duty to make sure the public is informed because that's how you build a movement and that's how you make change. And you guys deserve every bit of the accolades I'm giving you, and you deserve more. So thank you. And thank you for tuning in tonight. And I'll see you in the next video. Have a good night.